Okay, you're ready? Everybody?
Okay,
Page
so
Elizabeth.
good evening, ladies.
Hi.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, good evening. I'm Jade Elizabeth. I'm going to take just a minute and give you a little quick intro into who I am and where I came from and why I do what I do. So, my story actually started when I was a kid. I was adopted at 2.5. And, you know, children have a way of giving their own interpretation to things that they see or hear, or things that they always hear, especially from parents. So, as a kid, I was very, very, and I mean very, very active. I always seemed to be getting into trouble because I was bored all the time. My parents' favorite way to punish me was to sit me on my bed or sit me in a chair in a corner with nothing. Well, to me, that was torture. I probably why they punished me that way. But because of it, I always seemed to get into trouble. And somehow I labeled myself as a bad seed. And I told myself that was one of the reasons my parents, my um, natural parents, threw me away. They didn't want me because I was bad. And for a very, very long time, my self esteem was in the toilet. I had no self esteem whatsoever. I couldn't even speak to anyone that was successful in any type of work that they did, even in corporate. If I would meet someone wearing a suit and tie, or women that were all dressed up, of course, back in my day, the women didn't really work a lot in corporate. I couldn't even speak to them. Well, one day I read a book. It was called Psycho-Cybernetics. And for the first time, I actually saw in print things that I said to myself inside my own head. And a light went off, and I told myself, wow, I'm not the only one. So I can't be that bad if there's other people out there that feel the same way as me. Well, that put me on my road to healing. Of course, I'm going to be 75 at the end of this year. So back when I was about 13, 14 years old, when this all happened, there sure wasn't much like there is now. Because now you can go anywhere and find classes for personal development, classes to expand your mind, even business classes. Well, they didn't have many. And Zoom, of course, didn't even exist, and neither did computers. So it was kind of a slow go for me for a long time. And one day I found a school that was in Anaheim, California, that, oh, we lost Christy.
Yeah.
That was in Anaheim, California, that I met a woman. Her name was Catherine Morris, and she was teaching a class on personal development. I had read a lot of books, but of course, to me, there is nothing like in-person teaching or a live teacher rather than just in a book. So I started in the class, and about 4 weeks into the class, one day she said, "So if all of you are interested, we'll do a Reiki class next week." I had no idea what Reiki was. So I thought, well, I like her. She's a good teacher. So guess what? I'll take the class. So how many here know what Reiki is?
I do.
Christy, how about you?
Yes, I do. And
Okay.
thank you for the welcome back.
I'm level.
Thank you. So that was my first the first thing that I started to do in healing, and really in healing. Now, I've been doing Reiki since, 2004. I've been teaching it. I actually have 2 Reiki manuals out in Facebook. I have a Reiki 1 manual that a lot of our students, Catherine and I, a lot of our students teach out of. Oh, thank you. And I have a Reiki 2 book for the same reason. So the master books, our students have to come and connect with us, because that's something I won't post out there for sale. There's too much private information in a master book. So for me, Reiki became a foundation. And I got very, very good at Reiki. And I believe that I am one of the top Reiki teachers as well. Well, I did a lot of Reiki, had a lot of clients, and I started paying attention to what was going on. So they would come in, they'd have a session, they would leave feeling wonderful. 3, 4 weeks or 5 weeks later, they'd come back, same thing. We'd do a session, they're great, they would leave, and again, it would keep repeating. So I started in a meditation asking my guides exactly what was going on. And I found out, or what I was told, is that you have to change the mindset to go along with the healing work that I was doing in the sessions. So that led me into hypnotherapy. Now, how many are familiar with hypnosis or hypnotherapy?
I am. I just got a certificate in it.
Cool. How many days of training was it?
Pardon me?
How many days of training?
Oh,
was
I
your-
had, it was 15 classes.
Cool. Good. Then you've got a good foundation.
I
Christy,
do.
what about you?
I'm familiar with it, but haven't studied it.
Okay. And Sprinkles, you know about hypnosis, correct?
Yes, but my only attempts at it was watching it, a comedian on the stage doing it.
Okay, so now that brings up a good point. You know, so many people think that when you are hypnotized, you actually get into a place where you can be told to do whatever it is that might be against who you are. And that isn't true. Because I've done stage hypnosis too. It's really fun. And if you've ever watched the stage, you'll watch him call up a whole bunch of people, and then after a while, he'll dismiss a bunch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the ones he dismisses, he can tell they're not going to want to act silly.
Okay.
The people that are up there want to act that way because it's fun for them. They're outgoing and they can do whatever they want to do on the stage and then blame the hypnotist for it.
Ah.
Okay.
Ah.
So, because I can be hypnotized, but I wouldn't do some of the silly things they tell me to do because it's against my character.
Uh-huh.
So, it has to be in your character in order to do it. And believe it or not, when somebody says you will never hypnotize me, that's true. Because to be hypnotized, you must allow yourself to do what the hypnotist is asking you to do.
Uh-huh.
If he tells you or she tells you to breathe, to imagine something, to feel a wave of light or energy flowing through your body, and as it flows down, it relaxes you. If you're not following those steps, whether seeing it, imagining it, or feeling it, And you're not going to go into the deep hypnosis, and you're not going to achieve all of the good things that that you're trying to do in the session.
Mm-hmm.
But I love hypnosis. Hypnosis is a really, really powerful way to release a lot of things that are trapped in the unconscious mind
Mm-hmm.
that you cannot get at when you're conscious and you're in this, what I call the monkey mind.
Mm.
So one of the things that my hypnotherapist offered, because I took, what was it, almost 4 months of training.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Yeah, it was, we had a certain amount of training. Then we had a section that was off where we had to do 10 hypnosis sessions. Then we came back and we had to turn in all of our findings of what happened in those sessions. And then we had another 3 or 4 weeks. Plus, I took extra classes on past life regression,
Mm-hmm.
which is also extremely powerful. One of the things that she offered was something that was called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
So are you familiar with it, Peg?
Yes. Yeah, I
Christy,
took
how
some
about you?
lessons in it.
I've heard of it.
I didn't get trained, but, well, I kind of got trained, but it was a long time ago.
Okay.
But it was good. I mean, it was really good. I understand how to use it and everything.
Do you ever use it?
A little bit. It doesn't really work for me like hypnotherapy does, or hypno mindfulness does.
Well, part of the one thing that I have found is EFT can be very difficult working on yourself
Yeah.
unless you're sitting down and really asking a lot of questions about what's going on with your problem. Because as you ask a question, you always receive an answer, right? Think about it. If you ask yourself, so I'm trying to think of a question. Why did I get so angry? And all of a sudden a thought will pop into your mind. If you jot those down and you keep asking questions, them
You're
down.
cutting out, Jade.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I almost wore a headset because of it. If you go by the amount, and tap on the answers to your questions, and then tap in the positive, it will work a lot better for you, Peg.
Okay, so explain more.
Okay, so EFT is called, it's meridian tapping.
Oh, yeah.
So it goes by the meridians that are in your body. And how it works is that the amygdala in the brain is your fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into fear or when you go into anxiety, your fight or flight kicks in. And then it sends signals down your body to respond accordingly because now it feels you're in danger.
Okay.
Okay. So when you tap on the different meridian points, and I'm doing that right now. So when you tap on these points and say, releasing all of the negative, and then go back and continue to tap in all the positive of what you want, the next time you experience that situation, the amygdala goes, wait a minute, this isn't a fight or flight right now, so I'm not going to kick in and I'm not going to do anything. So it literally releases the hold that whatever that situation is has on you.
Okay.
And that's just a simple way of explaining it. I teach EFT, so I teach it for a person that wants to teach it. I also teach it to people for financial gain, for personal gain, and how to go about asking the right questions, because really that's what EFT is all about. It's knowing what to tap on and not just tapping on something like you'll see in a YouTube.
Mm.
Because Peg, for me, that doesn't work either.
Yeah, no, I really, it didn't do anything for me.
But, well, and that's one of the reasons I have so many different modalities.
You're cutting out.
Because it's the reason that I do so many different modalities that I do, because one thing doesn't necessarily work for everybody.
Mhm. Isn't it used for healing as well?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, it is. It kind of clears fears and different things, right?
Yes. So a lot of times, if I'm going to do a Reiki session, sometimes I always sit and speak to the person first, especially if it's an in-person. If it's online and it's going to be a distant, I actually will sit and do a little bit of tapping with them on the issue before I do the healing session,
Right.
and have a whole lot more success by doing it that way.
Yeah, you're a lot calmer, right?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're more focused, which is
But
what.
we've already broken through a little bit of the barriers that's going on.
Yeah.
So instead of having to do the hypnotherapy, we do a little tapping and then do the healing work, which molds together. And as it molds together, you have a much better outcome.
Hmm. Sounds
Okay.
logical, yes. Mm-hmm.
I find it
So
very
this,
interesting. I'm intrigued.
there is so many different ways to heal out there.
Yes.
I really have found a lot of success with the tapping, and use it in along with the other modalities. It's like when I'm doing hypnotherapy and I get them into that deep place where that emotion is trapped or that situation is trapped, I also do tapping with them while they are under the hypnosis and release it that way as well before I bring them up and out.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Yes.
So
I'm like,
sometimes incorporating everything that you have together
Yes.
makes for a whole lot more powerful session.
Exactly. Yep. I agree with that.
So the more
Def-
modalities we are aware of, the more ways we can seek the help in helping ourselves as well.
Right, right.
Yep.
Now,
Ourselves and others, it's pretty amazing. I just took phase 1 of tuning forks last week and the week before. So that's a whole nother new thing I'm doing too.
Yes,
so,
it is.
But it's
Tone
exciting.
is powerful.
Yeah, it is.
So do you do healing work with people, or is it just yourself?
I'm doing more of it now.
That's good.
I've taken different classes in the last 2 years. So
Good.
yeah, and I took Reiki 10 years ago. No, not more than that. 15.
Well, Reiki will never go away once you're attuned to it.
Yeah, but and I never really did hands-on. I always did distant, because I was working and there just weren't. It really wasn't that big in my area where I was living at that time.
Mm.
It's big now, but it wasn't 15 years ago at all. So, yeah, so it was, and I still do more distant. Actually, I don't really do any, but I do other things too.
Well,
So,
I do a lot
it's not
of
about
both.
me. It's about you.
Yeah, I do a lot of both, but right now it's
Uh-oh, she froze.
distant than it is in person because of the COVID. Who froze?
You did, but you're back.
Oh, I was going to say, I didn't freeze on my screen, so that was interesting. I said, no, I said, with the COVID, I am actually doing way more
Yeah.
distant
Mhm.
and Zoom and online than I do in person because it's just, right now isn't a smart thing to do in person stuff.
Right, right, yeah, it's safer right now.
Well, I've been
So,
and doing the distant as well, but
right.
more so with my neighbors and stuff. When there's a gentleman that has terrific back pain, and I'm just working on him. And I'm surprised. I really surprised myself when these are actually working, because it's like, wow, it really worked, and they're happy about it. And that's the biggest reward, is when they come out and they're feeling better about themselves. So yeah, I love the Reiki.
And
Yeah.
see, really, that's what helps people to know that it does work. As a healer, you have to believe in what you're doing.
Yes.
If you don't believe in it, it's not going to work, at least in my belief system.
Exactly, exactly.
So the more you see that it works, the more you believe, and then the better it gets.
Yes, it becomes a passion to do so.
Correct. So while I was in my hypnosis class, one of the things that my hypnosis teacher talked about was anchoring. Have you heard of anchoring, Peg?
Oh, not, I don't think so.
Okay, well, believe it or not,
explain.
it's not a hypnosis thing.
Okay.
But
Mindfulness?
no, she talked about what's called anchoring. And what she's told us is just when they get that height of relief and they're feeling that high of love and joy before you start to bring them up, she said, put their fingers together and give them a word and tell them the next time they do that, they're going to feel that same energy. Well, it never seemed to work for me, and I got frustrated about it. So one day, one of my hypnosis meetups had someone coming in that was talking about anchoring. It's like, hey, guess what? I get to learn. So
Yeah.
I went.
I think there
Anchoring
was, yeah, I think
is an
there was.
NLP.
Oh, NLP, yeah.
NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming.
Yep.
Christy, have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
You haven't either, Sprinkles?
No.
Christy, what about you?
No, I haven't either.
Okay, so what NLP is, it's the language that the mind speaks. So it gets you out of this mind and talks to the unconscious mind.
Huh.
How many of you are familiar with Tony Robbins?
Oh,
I know.
yes. Oh, I haven't been up to date on what's been taking place with that, but yes, I remember.
But you know how he works up on stage, right?
Yes.
He does NLP.
Oh.
That's what NLP is. What you're doing is you're actually confusing the mind that it can no longer hang on to the problem.
Mm.
So because it was like, wow, this is really cool. So of course I had to get certified in NLP.
Yeah.
Because I had to know about it as well. Now I'm also a master, certified master in NLP. One of the things that we do, or one of the types of things, it's called like to dislike. You can actually take something that you dislike and change it to where after you're done with the session, you don't like it anymore. I had a client who could not stop eating French fries. She was so addicted to them. And it was so bad that even when they would get dinners like hamburgers and fries for the whole family, she would end up eating some of her kids, some of her husband's, and all of her own. And she said, Jay, this just can't continue. I can't give up these French fries. I don't know what. So we did a like to dislike, and now she can't even smell them. So
I didn't like Brussels sprouts. All my life, I didn't like them. And my daughter, who's a nutritionist, decided she was going to make us some Brussels sprouts. And I kept telling myself, okay, I'm going to have to try it. I'm going to have to try it. I don't like them. I don't want them, but I'm going to have to try it. And I was astonished that I really did like it.
See, as we age, our taste buds change.
Yes.
Like them roasted.
Yeah, I like them roasted.
But this is taking something that you like candy or sugars that you're trying to get away from.
Yes, diabetic.
Or the ice cream or the potato chips. And you actually get yourself to dislike it so it's no longer an issue in your weight.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's why we call it a like to dislike.
So are we doing that normally but just don't realize it, but need to be more in tune to what we're doing when we do that? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't understand what you're asking. Say it again.
Because I told myself that I'm going to try it. I might like it. And I had no idea how she was going to make them. But I was doing that as a means to don't shut yourself off, be open, see what it really is like, blah, 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 you know, and I was talking myself into it. So with that, that's kind of like almost a normal kind of, you know what I'm saying? I know it came off normally that I worked at it that way instead of being closed off.
Well, in my belief system, I believe that if you open an opportunity to like something, to want to change the way you're looking at it, then you're giving room for that to happen. For an example, when I'm getting ready to work with a client, I never see the client as having a problem because I see them as already healed and whole. So I'm giving them that space to walk in and be in that space of being already healed. They walk in not feeling that way, but I give them that space. That's why there's so much success.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So let's say you have a family member or a friend that gets on your nerves because of something that they do. And every time you get ready to see them, you tell yourself, oh, I hope they don't do blah, 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 whatever that is.
Yes.
Okay. So inevitably, when you see them, they do blah, 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 whatever that is. But if you look and say, you know, going to give them space to be the perfect person that they can be, and you really hold that space, it'll happen. I'll give you a story. I love stories. In fact, I teach with stories. I had a client, did some sessions with her, and she said, you know, we're having a family get-together. And when my brother shows up, he is always an ASS, always. I said, well, everybody's expecting him to be that, so he can't show up any differently. So I said, why don't you try seeing him as the perfect person he can be? She said, I don't think it'll work. She said, but I'll try it, and I will give it 100%. I said, okay. She calls me up 2 days after the family gathering, he said, you know, it was the strangest thing. If he got around the rest of the family, he acted that way. Excuse me. She said, when he got around me, he didn't. And she said, I almost saw him as being slightly uncomfortable because he didn't have to show up the way he was for the rest of the family. So I want you to think about that. You know, if you expect something, you're always going to be right. This is something I tell people all the time. Whatever you think, you will be right about it.
So you're
If you
drawing
think
that
it.
energy to yourself.
Pardon?
So that we are actually drawing that energy to ourselves.
Correct. Correct. Because you're expecting it. You know, it's one of the universal laws. Like attracts like. So if this is something I'm expecting, then guess what? The universe is going to show me I'm right, and they're going to give me what I'm expecting.
Uh-huh.
Even if that isn't what you want. The universe doesn't hear a negative.
Interesting.
When you say not or don't or can't, the universe doesn't hear that.
I try to explain that to people.
I'm sorry, Christy, what?
I'm sorry for interrupting, but I try to
No.
explain that to people. That the universe doesn't care. I always say the universe doesn't care about your feelings about this, that, or the other thing. It's going to acknowledge what it is, the verb that you say. That's what it's going to acknowledge to. But people don't
Correct.
get it. They don't get it.
But
so
if you
thank you.
say I can't lose weight, I'll just use that for an example, or I can't make money, all the universe hears, okay, is wait. They don't hear I can't lose.
Mm. Hmm.
Okay?
Well, I became
Or
diabetic, and what happened with that was I was told no sugars, try to, because it was so high, my sugar level.
okay.
And I kept telling her, okay, no sugars, no certain breads and stuff like that. And then I had a little bit of sugar. My daughter forgot and put sugar in my tea. And oh my gosh, it was horrible. But my taste buds adapted to not needing that. And I was like, oh my gosh, how much sugar did you put in it? She goes, only one, Ma. And I'm like, only one? Good grief,
But see, once your taste buds get used to something, it's easy for that to happen. Yes.
I'm all about power of words. I love this.
So anyway, to me, NLP is a really, really powerful way to boggle the mind so that you can let go of things that that are more difficult in other things. It's like people have great success with NLP, maybe they don't with hypnosis. Or people have better results with EFT than they do with NLP.
Yeah.
It just depends.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that when I can speak, do hypnosis, do EFT, do Reiki, and kind of combine them all together, people don't even know that I'm scrambling their brain of what I am, but I'm telling them. Okay, now, if I'm outside of a session, I don't do that because to me, that's not right to be able to do something like that.
Yes, it's
So,
it's integrity of not intruding on
The
somebody.
modality. Yeah.
correct, correct. Unless someone asks for it. I mean, I'm also psychic. I do channeling. I would never intrude on someone's thoughts unless they tell me to. Even if I'm doing Reiki, I let them know that, if you would like, I can go in and see what's going on. and I can share that with you. Otherwise, if they say no, don't, okay. Sometimes they just want the healing session. And if things do come up automatically, I just use them for information in order to correct the problem. So,
Yes, and it's the integrity of being responsible and respectful of others. So totally understand that. That's how I would do my readings. And it's like, you know, if you're here, you're going to get a reading. If you don't want one, please post now, kind of thing, you know. So,
right.
yeah, and I'm not offended that they don't, you know, but I want to respect their space, respect their means of being open or not. So yeah, I can agree with you full-heartedly on that. But and a lot of people don't. That's another thing. A lot of people don't. They're not out to really be of help, and they will go ahead and overstep their bounds and say things when you know, I don't go into a store and I'm not going to read everybody's mind or tune into everything that everybody else is going on. So,
Right.
but they think you're a mind reader when you do, you know what I mean? Like you're reading their mind, so they'll shy away from you because, oh my gosh. But that's not what we want to do. We want to be of help, and we ask if we can be of help and not to go forward on it.
See, what gets me up and motivated every day is I do not want, especially women, because I love working with women. I don't want women to have to wait until they're my age to actually heal and enjoy their life. I don't want them to struggle like I did to try to heal who they are. And that brings me to the book. Okay. So this is an itty bitty book. You can see it's skinny. Okay. And it's all on self-esteem, 15 essential steps to gain and keep high self-worth. So I'm going to read the back of the book so that you can understand a little bit about it. In this revolutionary itty bitty book, Jade Elizabeth gives you the power to become who you came here to be. She provides exercises and information to guide you to start loving who you are and stop judging yourself so you can share your unique gifts with the world and experience new levels of joy and happiness. When you begin to practice the 15 steps that make up the essence of this book, you will notice how the world around you changes and see how easy it is to love the person you are becoming. So, for example, learn how receiving is just as important as giving.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You know, so many people love to give, especially women. But we get burned out if we don't allow ourselves to receive. And I find this so prevalent. It's like somebody even gives a person a compliment. And they'll say, if it's a compliment on their hair or a compliment on what they're wearing, it's like, oh, this thing, oh yeah, I got it on sale at Walmart. Which means they're really not receiving the compliment.
Yes. They're putting it to the side.
Correct. Because it's difficult for a lot of people, especially women, especially givers, to be able to receive. Because I remember how hard it was in the beginning for me. Because I used to give a lot because I wanted people to like me because I didn't like me. And because I had no self-esteem. So I would always make some kind of an excuse. And when I started learning this, I said, okay, if someone gives me a compliment, the only thing I'm going to do is stop, take a breath, and just say thank you. Nothing else. And over time, it got easier and easier. And now I love compliments.
Good for you.
And it's important to have that. You know, it's important to get all those things. Another one is understanding how you sabotage yourself so you can change the outcome. You know, our old programming that we have, if you're in the midst of doing something, and let's say you're starting to succeed in a goal that you want to do, all of a sudden the unconscious is going to say, oh, wait a minute, that's not in our programming.
Mm-hmm.
And you will do or say something that will sabotage you.
Yes.
It
Mhm.
really sucks, but it's true.
It's
So,
it also goes with people needing help, but they're always saying, I go it alone. I don't need anybody's help. And in fact, they do, but they're not going to reach out for it.
well, you know, to me, I believe that when somebody is really ready,
Mhm.
they'll step up.
Good.
It has to be a priority for them. They have to be at that stage. But you're right. When people say, I can do it by myself, that's incorrect. And let me explain why I think that. When we have an issue or a problem, it's kind of like being in a box. And that's our world. Whatever is inside this box that we have created for ourselves. Okay? When we have an issue, we can't see over the edges of the box. So we can't see all of the possibilities that someone else might be able to see.
Mm-hmm.
So really, when people say I can do it myself, in most cases, they don't. But it's also because they may not be ready to take those steps.
Or they may not have the money.
Some of it could be money. But you know, if you're hurting enough, you'll find it. Because
Oh,
I've
yeah.
watched people who didn't have any money, but when something was really important enough for them, they found that money somehow.
Mm-hmm. True. It's true.
So it has to be a priority. They have to want to take that step. And a lot of people are afraid of the word change. You know, I know how miserable it is right now, this place I'm in. I don't know what that looks like over there when it changes. It could be worse than what I have here.
Mm-hmm.
So fear kicks in and people don't take that step. So in my itty bitty book, there are 15 different steps. Each one is only 2 pages long with an explanation and then an exercise to do. It's how I went from not believing I was worth anything to the person I am today. And I like the person I am today. It's taken me a while, but I got there.
That was applause for you. Good for
Yeah.
you, for real.
Yeah. Well, how'd you get that name though? I love that name of the book. Your itty
What?
bitty.
Well, itty bitty. Okay, so you're amazing itty bitty publisher. That's why there's an R there.
You're
So
cutting
itty
out.
bitty. So itty bitty has books on self-esteem. They have books on taxes. They have books on anything and everything you can think of.
Uh-huh.
And the reason they call it an itty bitty is because it's so small. I don't know if I would have been able to publish this self-publish at the time. I'm now thinking about doing more books, but I'm not going to go through a publisher, or at least I'm not going through itty bitty. I probably will publish myself
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
because I would like to do a bigger book that addresses this.
The larger itty bitty book.
Yeah. Well, you know, explaining it a little more in detail. So, you know, a kind of an updated
Yeah.
version.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be interested.
I'm very interested.
So, on my website, which is jadeelizabeth.com, If you go under About, which would be About Me, on the bottom is all of the links to my books, both the two Reiki books and also the Itty Bitty book. So it's an easy
you.
way, or just go out to Amazon and type it in.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on Kindle, Nook. The Itty Bitty book is probably on 30 or 40 different sites, and I don't even know half of them.
Yeah. And Jade's website is the same as her email that I'm showing there. So you.
No, it's not Jade at. It's just jadeelizabeth.com. My email is Jade at Jade Elizabeth.
Oh, right. But I was going to say at the end, not at. It's after the at is her website.
Right, is jadeelizabeth.com.
Yes.
Yes, which is my website. Shows a lot of things that I do. You know, one of my commitments is to help women advance and heal who they are,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can become the person that they actually came here to be. You know, every one of us has a message of some sort, whether it's to heal other people, whether it's to be a mother and a wife, and raise children that would go out into the world and become something to be extremely proud of. Whatever that is, I believe that people can only hear the message that they're supposed to hear from you. So if we don't go out and spread the word of who we are and become that person, the people that have to hear what we have to say will never hear it.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So does anybody have questions for Jade?
I don't have a question per se, but I just wanted to share the fact that it took me a long time to learn to be a gracious receiver. It was a like a knock you on your knees lesson when I got it. It was like once I got it, I'm like, oh my gosh. And some things that you're like, all these years I've been doing it like this, and all I had to do was that. Like,
I know. It's interesting, isn't it?
yes. So yeah, I'm so glad I'm here tonight. I'm so glad you are here tonight. Yeah, just a lot of what you're saying is like, yes, that's what I've been saying. Yes, you know,
Well,
and I
God
feel
bless you. Thank you.
yeah, God bless you. It's just more validation of yes, I am on the right path, and yes. So yes, thank you.
You know, one of the things that I used to be was a perfectionist. How many here is a perfectionist?
It
Oh,
works.
no comment.
Well,
Not
you
at
know,
home, but it works.
I was sitting in a mastermind group one day, and the gentleman that was running the group, I'm not sure even what the discussion was, but he made the statement that every time you do something, you can find a way to do it better. Now, I'm sure I heard that a million times,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Remember when I said you have to hear the message from the person that's supposed to give it? Well, I sat there and the tears just started rolling down my face, because for the first time, I realized that what I have, what I'm doing is good enough. Just because I can find a better way the next time doesn't mean it isn't perfect at that point, at that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But doesn't it also go to say overdoing it, because it, and then when you overdo it, it's not as perfect as you expect it, because it's all over the place. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
the painter, if he keeps touching it up, the first finishing of it was excellent, and yet he continued to do it and then painting it and sell as well. Do you know what I mean?
Correct. Because I remember when I went to, I brought my book out on Valentine's Day because I wanted people to look at it as self-love. And what better time to really love yourself than on Valentine's Day? So I was having a book signing, and the night before I was sitting and going over what I was going to talk about out of the book. And I found a typo. I don't know how many people actually looked and read and checked the book, but everybody missed it.
But you, everybody but you.
Except you, yeah.
Because I missed it too up until I have no idea. Because that's what I ended up talking about.
Uh-huh.
That the part in here that has to be section. So I called the publisher and I said, Susie, there's a typo in the book. She said, where? She said, we'll fix it for the next run. I said, okay. She said, but here's what I want you to do. She said, you tell everybody that buys the book now that these are collector's pieces because it's different than all the others are going to be.
That's
Like,
wonderful.
well,
That's
yeah,
great.
and in a way, that's true, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's what I spoke about. I said to everyone, I said, I want you to go to, and I can't even remember now what page it was on and what paragraph it was in. And I said, I want you to read this. You see the mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone read it slowly. It's, oh, yeah, I see it. I said, so does that mean that my book isn't any good? They said, well, no. I said, so
Mm-hmm.
that means it doesn't have to be perfect to be good.
That's right. Absolutely correct. Wonderful.
So one of the things that I was going to, is there any other questions? I also
Nope,
didn't talk about crystals.
Oh, you do crystals too. I wasn't
Oh,
aware of
yes.
that.
Isn't this beautiful?
Yes. Yes. A lovely quartz. Lovely quartz.
That's just one of them. I have tons. I sell crystals.
Oh.
I teach all about crystals. I use them in my healing work. I wear them all the time. But that's for another time. I mean, there's so much I could talk about. But one of the things I wanted to offer, and since there's only 3 of you on here, I'm not going to say 3.
Oh.
The first one of you that I have 2 offers that I want to offer you. The way I had worded it was the first 3 people that email me or text me for a like to dislike session, which is normally $175. For today, it's only $97, which means you save $78 on the session. That's one of my offers.
Uh-huh.
The other offer is if you sign up for 5 coaching sessions, and this entails the EFT, the hypnosis, the Reiki, all of it, the NLP, everything that I do. Regularly, it would be for 5 sessions, would be $750.
Oh.
But today, for $497, you can get those 5 sessions, which is a savings of $3.
Nice.
So those are my offers. I am here. If you would like to talk a little more, if you want to know more about me or things that I do, you have my phone number, my email, and now you have my website.
Yes.
I will
I do
definitely be
classes as
checking
well. I teach a lot of things. A lot of the things that I spoke to you about, I teach, but I also teach personal development.
Uh-huh.
So if people can't afford the private coaching, they can actually come and learn in a class where they can do a lot of the things for themselves.
Do you do a hypnosis class too?
No, I don't teach hypnosis, and I don't teach NLP. My teacher wanted me to teach it, and it's just not something. So I'm certified in hypnotherapy and past life regression, but it's not something that I like teaching. So,
Okay. Well, I
but
love
Reiki,
what you do teach, that's for sure.
So, I mean, I teach many classes on how to love yourself, on meditation, on tools. When people say, well, I have a hard time meditating, I have tools that I teach people that help them to get into a meditative state much quicker and much faster. I channel a lot of the meditations that I do. So my classes consist of all sorts of things.
Well, yeah, you have to check out a site, girls. You really do.
Yeah,
She's
definitely.
got so much stuff. She's packed. And even her little itty bitty book is packed. It's packed with info that you're not going to find anywhere else. I remember Jade from back then when her book first came out. And I remember speaking with her. And even then I was moved by her passion to be of help to others and to guide them and to mentor them. So can you just run a list of some of the other stuff that you have that you on the website there? Go check it out, girls. But I just know she's so compact. And so is Peg. Peg gets to where she's got all these certificates behind her, but she's trying to get that out there, and I think she's going to be actually doing it this year. That's not too far down the road. But,
Yeah, I will be. I'm just trying to get my act together. But yeah.
So sit down and write out what is needed in order to get your act together and put them in priority.
Yeah, no, you're right. I do. Yep.
but
Plus, I have about 3 books I want to work on, so it's like.
yeah, Peg has a book out
Boy.
as well.
Oh, do you? What's the name of your book? Okay.
It's a book of daily angelic messages, and it's for the whole year, and it's called Living in the Heart Place with Your Angels, Daily Angelical Whispers Throughout the Year. It's a long title.
That's okay.
But they were messages that I had worked over on from like 2010 to fall of 2012. And the messages I'm finding are more appropriate for what we're dealing with now than what we were dealing with 6 years ago when the book was published. So I find that to be very interesting.
Well, Jay, I want to thank you very much for taking the time here. And I have no idea unless people are having glitches with their PCs, what. It's so many invites I had sent out. I had an event posted. And I'm so sorry that we didn't get, but you know what? This video is going to go out to all the places that I can get it out to. Okay, that's
thank you.
Twitter and everything else, because I deeply appreciate, and I do feel you have something to offer others, and they're not going to have to look very far, okay, because it's going to be your website that they're going to be going to, and you're the one that's going to be making their lives a little better. So I really thank you so very much for doing this.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it very, very much. And thank you for listening to all of my stories.
Oh, I loved it. I loved
It was great.
You have such a soothing way about you too, to make it, it makes it all right. You know what I mean? You make it nice. So, okay, so ladies, we're gonna end this. I don't wanna keep Jade any longer. And I have to get working on this so that I can get it out to everybody and everyone as fast as possible, so that I don't forget that they missed tonight and they should have been here. They would have had the opportunity to share in on this. Okay, thank you, Jay. Ladies, love and light to you all. Please be safe and blessings.
Thank you,
Thank you, Christine.
God bless.
Here. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Peg.